What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. We are here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. My name, once again, is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter. I'm also a casino host, and I rock with this podcast because this is something that I truly love. I truly love talking to all different kinds of people in all different walks of life, especially people who are in journalism like myself. Um, I got a special guest that's coming on today. Her name is Julie Mangurten, and she's coming on being a journalist, being an owner now, or trying to start up her own media company. So we're going to talk to her about her why. We're going to talk to her about some other things as well that she's getting into. This has been setting up for some time now. So now, without any further ado, I bring to you the wonderful, the talented, the beautiful Julie. Hi, Julie. How we doing?
Good. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing good, doing good. It's good to see you again. You look
Nice to meet
absolutely
you.
lovely today. I'm just
Thank
gonna say
you.
that. You're very welcome. And I just want to thank you for coming on to my podcast, Work Hard, Play Harder. Um, how's your week been going?
It's been good. I've just been checking off all the things on my to-do list and meeting my deadlines.
Mm-hmm.
It's been
Awesome.
good. It's been good.
Awesome to hear.
Thanks
So
for having me.
Oh, no, no question. No question. Thank you for coming on. Now, we spoke weeks ago kind
Mhm.
of about the rundown of what exactly this podcast entails, right? It's about your why, it's about who you are and what you do and why you do what you do, right? So we're definitely going to hop into that. We're going to talk about your startup of what you're trying to do as far as your media company goes. I'm going to have you talk in depth about that in just a little bit. But first off, I want to ask you about your why. I normally throw that first question out to all of my guests. What is your why of why you got into journalism, media? Were there any role models that you looked up to? What is your why?
What is my why? I think my why is that the news was always a big thing in my house when I was growing up. That's probably how it started. Like my dad, my mom, my parents were always reading the newspaper, and having the 10 o'clock news was just part of our family routine. And I think that was just became a part of my life. I always enjoyed writing, and I worked on my junior high yearbook, and I worked on my high school yearbook, and I was always writing and telling stories and reporting. And I always loved to know what's going on. I think that's part of it too. I just like to gather information. I like to be in the know on things. Um, and then I had an English teacher junior year who really mentored me and encouraged me to keep writing and commented on my writing. I didn't really know that I was a decent writer until that teacher, until Mr. Valentin told me and encouraged me to enter writing contests. So I think that was kind of the beginning of it. And
Hmm.
I guess the other thing is that I really look at journalism as a public service. And I really think it's important that we support one another and builds our communities and connect people to each other and keep everyone informed. And so I think it's the public service of journalism also that appealed to me.
Without question. Definitely a reason for me to join journalism is because I love storytelling. I feel like we are pillars of the community, like kind of how you were saying. We got to get the info out to them, the 411 of news, entertainment, any kind of genre. You know, I do sports, but sports is very important and vital to all communities, especially small communities, because you can see a whole lot of families come to these games. They pack the gyms, and it's just really a close knit. Anytime you are working in a small community like that, because when you walk around the street, people know you, they see you. Especially me, because I kind of stick out in this community as well, being in Marshall, Minnesota. So I love that answer. I really do. Now, you went to University of Michigan,
I
if I'm
did.
not mistaken, and then you got your master's at Northwestern.
That is correct.
Um, Talk to me about your school choices. Both of those schools are great journalism choices, but were there any possible other schools that you may have wanted to go to outside of those two?
It's a good question. So when I was graduating from high school, I was pretty sure I wanted to go into journalism, but I wasn't 100%.
Okay.
And I did consider the University of Missouri, and I knew that that was a wonderful journalism school. But if I had
Mhm.
decided not to study journalism, I wasn't sure what else I would study there, not to knock Missouri at all. But and I had applied to Michigan and I got into Michigan, and my sister actually was at the University of Illinois, and I could have gone to the University of Illinois. I'd gotten accepted there too, but I really wanted to forge my own path and have my own adventure. And so I decided to go to the University of Michigan, and I ended up majoring in communications and human resources. I think there was like always this worry that the world of journalism and TV news is competitive and I needed to have a fallback. So I took some human resource classes and had a minor in HR, organizational behavior, just to have something to fall back on. But really, journalism was where I was headed. And then when I graduated from Michigan, I felt like I didn't fully have the skills I needed to go into the job market in journalism. I didn't really know what to do. I just didn't feel prepared. And I had gotten into Northwestern, and they have a great journalism program. It was a 1-year master's program. And I grew up in the Chicago suburbs. My parents were living in Glenview at the time, so I could live at home. I could go to Northwestern and get a master's degree in 1 year. And it just seemed like a no-brainer. Like, why not? And it definitely gave me an awesome foundation and helped me understand not just the work of journalism, but the business of journalism. Like, we had teachers who lectured to us about, like, how do you find jobs? How do you navigate jobs? How do you navigate this industry? What are the resources? And so it definitely prepared me to enter the journalism world as a working person.
Absolutely. Two of the best journalism schools, obviously in Michigan and Northwestern, Missouri, as you said, which is the NBC affiliate school. You got Indiana, you got Arizona State, Syracuse. You got a lot of different schools out there with choices with great journalism programs for sure. And you went to Michigan at a time where, bringing it back to my sports thing, where the Fab Five was there.
Well, the year I was deciding where to go, this will
yeah.
share my age, but it was 1989 was when I graduated high school.
Mhm.
And Michigan that school year had won the Rose Bowl and the Final Four.
They did.
So that was a big year for them. And when I went to visit the campus, or I don't know if somebody brought me a t-shirt, but they were selling t-shirts on campus that said Rose Bowl champs on the front, and on the back it said, as if that weren't enough, NCAA champs. And I had joked because also Illinois was in the I don't know where, maybe they were, I think they were in the Final Four that year.
Illinois was,
And I
yes, they were.
Yeah. Okay, you're the sports guy. So I had joked, like, I'm just going to decide where to go based on who goes further in the Final Four. Like, it's as good a reason as any, but that is not, just for the record, that's not the reason I chose Michigan, but it helped.
Right. Right. And listen, you chose a very good school. Obviously, they did win the national championship in basketball in '89. I'm a historian of the game. Fab Five was obviously cultural for myself and a
Yeah,
lot of
I
other
was
people
there
that
during the Fab Five run.
absolutely. So, and then obviously Jim Harbaugh, he went to Michigan. He was Michigan quarterback, and Desmond Howard winning the Heisman Trophy and all that sports stuff there. Michigan was just popping at that time. Let's just say what it
Michigan
is.
was
So,
popping. Yeah. Actually, when I was a junior, I studied abroad in London, and that was when the Fab Five was
that's
playing.
right.
And
Hmm.
we wanted to see the game. And so the only place to see Michigan playing was at a US military base that was, I think, in Oxford. So we took
Hmm.
a train, or no, I think we took a bus at 11. I went
Okay.
with one of the other students who was also a Michigan
Hmm.
student. And
Hmm.
we went on a bus to Oxford and we watched the game. It was like at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then we took the bus back. And then we wrote a letter to the school newspaper, the Michigan Daily, and they printed it. And it was like Wolverines in London was the headline. And it was all about our efforts to make sure we could watch the Michigan Fab Five.
That's pretty awesome. That really is. I love that. I love that. I want to ask you some favorite things, okay? And so you tell me some of your favorite things based upon these questions, all right?
Okay.
All right, here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
I make a really good broiled salmon with an orange ginger marmalade, like a
Okay.
glaze.
Ooh, now, Julie, you're winning my heart already. We haven't even got to the second question yet. I love
What's
that.
the second question?
That sounds right. That sounds delicious.
I can't take credit for
Favorite.
the recipe. I found it in Cooking Light magazine many years ago.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. Favorite concert you ever attended?
Favorite concert. I feel like this should, oh, of course, Michael Jackson, the Thriller tour. I guess it was the
Wow.
Victory tour, Michael Jackson. I was 13.
Mm,
Michael Jackson and the Jackson Five, and my grandfather got us tickets to see him in the old Comiskey Park. And yeah, when he called to say he'd gotten us tickets, I cried. I was so excited. I was a big Michael Jackson fan. I had pictures of him in my locker. Yeah,
mm.
love Jackson.
Who doesn't like MJ? I mean, come on now. The
Right.
GOAT.
Yeah.
No question. Okay, I like that. You can't beat much concerts better than that. Favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Oh, we went to Australia on our honeymoon. It's amazing.
Oh, I
Great
love
Barrier
that.
Reef.
I love it.
Before the Great Barrier Reef is what it is now. It was not bleached out like it is today, but yeah, it was fantastic.
Okay, I love that. Australia. Okay. Now, I'm a sports guy, so I got to throw a sport in there. Favorite sport, two-part question. Favorite sport you like to watch on TV? Favorite sport you like to go in person to see?
I gotta say, I guess favorite sport to watch on TV. I guess I enjoy like skating in the Olympics and
Mm,
gymnastics at the Olympics.
okay.
I end up watching a lot of college basketball and Duke basketball. My husband's a Duke alum and he's a big fan, so I end up seeing some of that. And favorite sport to see in person. I mean, I love a Cubs game. You gotta love a day at Wrigley.
Yeah. Wrigley Field is beautiful. Been there.
Wrigley
God bless
Field.
God bless your husband's heart for being a Duke fan. God bless his heart.
I know, right?
Yeah, yeah, just I can't
Yeah, I
do it.
guess, and
But
I'm saying this publicly, he has gotten a Michigan fan to cheer for Duke on occasion. It does
wow.
happen. That's true
Wow.
love.
You gotta love somebody, Julie, to do that. That's for sure. No question about that with that rivalry and how that was. Last of the favorites, favorite restaurant that you like to go to.
Favorite restaurant. Let's see. There's a little like place right in downtown Northbrook called Georgie B's that I love for like a good lunch brunch spot.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
Dinner, Serenello's in Wheeling is a great Italian spot.
Okay. Okay. Now, are you a deep dish person? Because you know Chicago's known for deep dish pizza.
I do love a good deep dish pizza. Lou Malnati's. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Love a
Now,
good
do you
ruse.
do you eat it with a fork?
You have to.
Okay. All
Deep
right.
dish,
Listen.
yeah, it's a fork and knife event.
Right. So I'm used to that because, like I said, my mother and father were born and raised in Chicago.
Right.
I was born in Chicago, not raised there, but I was born in Chicago. But I do know a good deep dish pizza there. Uno's is what I know pretty well. That's kind of the chain restaurant, Uno's. But there's some other places there that I heard they got really good deep dish pizza. So I cannot wait to go back there and try it for sure.
Yeah, Uno's, Gino's, Lou Malnati's, but yeah, Chicago deep dish pizza is a fork and knife event. I mean, I guess you could pick it up and eat it, but it's gonna be a mess.
I
By
don't
the
even know
time
why you
you
would
get
do
to the
that.
crust, that crust, you can pick it up.
Right, right. So I don't even know why you would do that, in my opinion.
Mm-mm. Yeah, you wouldn't. Uh-oh, you just froze. Did I freeze? Is that me? I hope it's not my Wi-Fi.
You hear me?
Yeah, I see you. I hear you. You froze a second. Did I freeze?
Oh, you did freeze. But that's okay. That's all right. You good. We're gonna keep rocking with it. I want you to talk about your startup media company, that you're trying to do and the idea behind that. Uh, how did that come about? What are you trying to do with it? Talk to in depth on what this is all about and what you would like for it to do for you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. So it's called The Mid. The Mid is a news startup. It's social media based and video based. It's a news platform. Right now we're on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And it is focused on the middle of the country geographically and politically. So geographically, we know that most of the national media are based on the East Coast. And as we've seen lately, they come to the middle of the country for tornadoes
Yep.
and caucuses. But otherwise, we don't see the national media too often in the middle of the country. So the Mid is working to cover the Midwest, the Plain States, the Mid. And then politically, we also know that a lot of the media is left or right, and there's not a lot in the middle. A lot of people are turning away from news because they don't want to hear the partisan reporting, the partisan discussions. They don't want to hear the arguing. They feel like it's negative. So the Mid is seeking to report stories and cover stories and create conversation around the middle. Can we find middle ground? Can we find common ground? Can we agree to disagree if we can't find, a solution in the middle? But let's aim for that. Let's aim to bring people together, to have civil dialogue, to listen, to learn, and get to know each other. And when you get to know someone, it makes it a lot harder to rip them to shreds. So the
Sure.
other piece of it is that it has a local news component to it. It's a regional, almost like a national platform,
Mhm.
but the goal is to have local reporters in different markets within the Mid, people who are living in communities, connected to communities. They have resources, they understand the climate, the culture, the background. So when things happen, they are able to cover a story like a local reporter would, rather than a national reporter who's dropped in for just 24 hours.
Sure.
Um, and the reason that's important is because local news is really suffering right now. We see a lot of newsrooms closing, newspapers shutting down,
Sure.
ad revenues down. Local newsrooms are really struggling to survive. So can we figure out a way to produce local news at a lower cost? So it's video based. So we're not using expensive cameras. We're using cell phones, and I have like a little clip-on microphone that I use and a little tripod. And we're not spending money on expensive equipment or a big newsroom. And keeping it low cost. So if we keep it low cost, maybe it can survive. So that's the story of the Mid.
I like that. And I know we talked about it a little bit before, but this was something that you started with someone.
So
Are you guys still connected?
So we are. So as it started in the summer of 2023, a friend of mine, a former colleague, had called me up with this idea, and he got a group of about 6 people together, and we were working on it. And it's a startup, and we don't have any money. We did a Kickstarter last summer, and we got enough money to get going. We did a road trip. We went to Wichita, Kansas City, and Tulsa, Wichita, and Kansas City, and
Hmm.
we covered stories in those locations and came back and put it together. And so that those stories, that content is up on our platforms.
Hmm.
But we still are trying to figure out the revenue side of this, and people can't afford to work for free. So my team, for the most part, they've gotten full-time jobs, and I think people are still interested, but for the most part, there's just a couple of us that are still like actively working on it. But I'm talking to a lot of people who are interested and trying to figure out the funding revenue or the funding model, the revenue model.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, that's a very important model to figure out, no question.
Important piece, right? I'm trying to figure out like, what does the content look like? Where's the revenue going to come from? Who's going to do it? Like building all the pieces.
And
So,
this sounds like an incredible idea. I just wish I was more interested in politics. I'm
well, it's not
not a
just
huge.
politics, it's people too. I mean, so that's one of the big debates, one of the topics, things that I think about, like, because it's a startup, I have we have the benefit of being able to make decisions about what the content's going to be. So is it going to be all political? Is it, I think it's both. I think it's political and it's stories about people who are living and working in the Mid. We know there's great stories to tell, but there
Mhm.
aren't platforms for those stories to be shared.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely, like I said, this sounds like a terrific idea. I wish Minnesota would have something like that because, like I said, here in the small towns in the Mid, I think you can pick great stories to have because there's a lot of towns that don't get the recognition. Like when you think of Minnesota, you probably think of Minneapolis and St. Paul first. Those are quickly the two cities that you think about, but you don't think about really any of the other cities, right? And then when you think about maybe Kansas, is maybe Wichita that comes to mind, maybe Topeka that comes to mind. When you think about cities like or states like Oklahoma City, obviously that comes to mind. Bigger cities, right? And I think that if you in my opinion, if you attack the smaller cities with the great, you can really find some human interest stories that people will read about and people will attack. I think it's a terrific idea. I really do.
Exactly. Exactly. Can we get to places like Marshall, Minnesota and tell the stories of people in Marshall, Minnesota?
Sure. And listen, we have a population of 11,000 people, so it's really small. Everybody knows everybody. It's just like Cheers, where everybody knows your name. It's you can't go outside and not have somebody not know who you are. And that's for
How
sure.
long have you
And
been there?
for me, this is year three. Year
Okay.
three. Yeah. So yeah, ever since January of 2022, I've been here. So and it took a while for people to warm up to me because I was the new reporter coming in. We also only have a 3% African American as far as population goes here, of the population. So it's not many African American blacks here. And especially, I'm the first one that was ever hired in this publication, African American, and this publication had been around for over 50 plus years. Um,
Wow.
so so for me to be the first one, I definitely hold that to a high standard because number one, I want to be able to open the door for others that may want to come in too. But being the first one is also hasn't been easy as well because when you're different and you do stuff different and you're not the norm, you have to break the cycle of the norm. And what I mean by that is you have to change people's minds and allow them to be open to change, open to different kind of reporting, open to different kind of language, terminology, things of that nature. And people were set on things being a certain way. And when I came in, I'm coming from Georgia, so I'm doing different games and feature stories and stuff like that. But when I came here, I had a mindset of I want to make an impact in the community. That's why I came here. I came here because it was a chance for me to grow my journalistic skills, do events I've never done before, which now I've covered champions and section champions and state champions and drove around and had credentials and networked with people that's in different publications in the media. So I've done a lot of things since I've been here in my 3 year stretch. And now it's to the point where it's like, okay, where can I branch out to? Where can I further go? Because this was a starter's market. So now I'm looking for my next opportunity there as well. I still love doing what I do, but I do know that I want to go higher. So and Illinois is definitely a great place to do that. That's for sure. So well, since we're right next door and I have family there, that would be awesome if I could do that. But that's pretty much my spiel of my reporting.
But
So
it's smart to start small, and that's where you learn some really important skills. And I started small. My first job was in Fort Myers, Florida, and then I went to Houston before I came to Chicago. So, um,
yes,
yeah, I mean, the lessons I learned in Fort Myers, I still they make a difference every day.
without
So,
question, without question, and I learned some new things too. Because I never took photos. I was always in Georgia. I was always the writer, the interviewer, the person that sat down. When I went to games, I talked to coaches, I built sources, but I never took photos. When I came here, I learned how to do photography. When I came here, I learned how to do page design. I was like, what the hell is page design? I don't know what that is. But when I came here, I learned how to do that. And I I thought that this would be a really good place for me to start instead of starting somewhere big. I wanted to kind of start small and kind of develop some more skills. Because the more diverse you are in the journalism field, as I tell people all the time, especially college graduates, the more diverse you are, the more attractive you'll be in the job market. There's just no question about it. And for me, I know how to do the broadcast side, and now I know how to do print because that's what I've been doing. So it's just a great way to kind of learn and grow for sure. Which is a great
yeah, I
segue.
mean, these days, I mean, that's the thing. Newsrooms are shrinking. They can't afford to have people who are photographers and then other people who are writers. You have to be a jack of all trades. So
Gotta
it's
do it
good to
all.
have all of those skills. So when I was
Absolutely.
coming up through the ranks, show producers were not editing and making graphics, but they are now.
Mhm.
And I'm learning now. I know how to edit. I mean, I learned a little bit of editing when I was in school, but now I'm video editing more than I ever have. And I'm
Right.
shooting,
Absolutely.
and yeah, I'm doing all of it. I'm making graphics, I'm picking music, like yeah, the whole thing.
I love it. Now I want to ask you this question because mental health is very important, right? And a lot of reporters that I've had on this platform, the word that you hear a lot is underpaid, overworked, burnout. Those words you definitely hear a lot in this industry. And I've had a few friends that have left journalism to go do other things with their degrees. Let me get your perspective on how important you think mental health is. How do you keep your mental health strong? Have you experienced any of those things working in journalism?
Did we talk about mental health when you and I talked before?
I don't think we did.
Okay, so I don't know if you know like how important mental health is to me and how much work I've done in it. So part of my journey in the last few years is to volunteer for an organization called Catch, which is Community Action Together for Children's Health. It's
Okay.
focused on kids'
Mhm.
mental health. um, and I got involved because my kids were having their own mental health struggles, and it revealed some of my own mental health struggles. I didn't realize how much I was dealing with anxiety and depression. And um, I think I probably had a lot of anxiety when I was working in TV news. And in some ways, it probably fueled the work that I was doing. It made me work really hard, but I don't think it was that healthy.
Right.
I've learned a lot now as a parent. And I think if I were back in a traditional newsroom and even working in the mid, one of my goals is to not tax people so much that their mental health is suffering. Um, yeah, I mean, that's one of the frustrations. It's hard. Newsrooms are, um, because their resources are shrinking.
Right.
They're trying to do more with less. Everyone's
Mhm.
streaming now and websites. Like there's a constant demand for content, and it takes a toll for people to keep up with that. So as I grow the mid, I'm definitely keeping that in mind, and I want it to be a place where reporters, producers, editors, where journalists feel like their mental health is prioritized and they're not just beaten to the pulp by having to just crank out content 24/7.
Right.
Because it
Absolutely.
definitely it takes a toll, without a doubt. You know, does
Yeah.
that
It's an
make
important
sense?
question.
Did I answer your questions?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Now I would love to know when you did have that though, that mental health, and you understood that your kids were struggling, you were struggling. I appreciate your openness for that. What were some of the things that you did to kind of overcome that struggle? Like, were there a support system that you called? Did you like work out? Did you read? What did you do as far as to keep your mind strong so that way your mental health didn't stay, uh, on the negative side?
A lot of things. I mean, part of it was just learning more about what all of it means. For myself, I exercise a lot. So that helps. I used to be a runner and that used to help me, but I hurt my back when my kids were little, so I can't really run anymore. But I do weights, I do yoga, I do Pilates, like I go for walks, I exercise, a lot of exercise. Um, I probably don't do enough of the things that I should, like on my own, but I see a therapist every other week. I take medication. I try to get outside.
Mhm.
I try to eat really healthy. I try to stick to a consistent sleep schedule. I try to stay connected to my friends and my family. And definitely, like, there are times where I get like super busy with work, and
Sure.
I have to take note of that and look at my calendar and say, like, I have to get out of this cycle of constant work and make space in my life to connect with my friends.
I
So I
love
think
that.
staying connected is really important, staying connected to other people, because it's easy to just, for me, it's easy to just get caught up in the cycle of work because I love the work that I do. I love creating content, writing, meeting people, telling stories, and seeing what other people are doing in the way of content creation and what's happening in the news. Like that could take over my life 24/7. So
Sure.
I have to catch myself.
I love that. I really
At one
do.
point, actually, I was doing pretty well with a gratitude practice where I was waking up every morning and thinking about something that made me grateful, and that really helped. It's
Hmm.
just, I don't know, I kind of fell off the routine of that, but that was helpful too. And
No,
just with my
that's
kids, I
amazing.
think I've just learned to be everything I've learned about my kids and their struggles and how to support them and how to support anybody through any mental health challenge, even for people just on a day on the daily. I've learned so much how to support other people and how to respond and the right language. And I just feel like it's made me a better parent for sure, but also just a better human being.
I feel that. I love it. Like I said, it's an important question to ask because we really need to take into account sometimes these stations and these publications and different things uh only care about the bottom line. As you said, they're trying to work more with less. It's a lot of stressful, it's a lot of stress sometimes. It's a beautiful job to have. Don't get me wrong, but you got to know the A side and the B side when you jump into it. And this is why I do this platform to talk with people that understand, that been through it, that have actually had some mental health stuff that's went on with them. I know me personally, when I first moved out here, I don't have any family out here. So I don't have any family or nothing. And I'm a huge family person, but I knew I was chasing a dream and a goal. But the dating scene for me really hit me hard because it was like I'm working till midnight. There's nobody's gonna be available after midnight. I don't
Mhm.
want to be doing breakfast dates all the time. And the date, and I really put a lot of pressure on myself to be like, man, do I really just want to be chasing my dreams but be lonely the rest of my life? Because I don't want to be lonely. I want to have somebody to share success with. I want to make someone happy. And it kind of just messed with my mind a little bit. So, but I had to kind of be like, okay, what's in God's will is going to happen. I'm a faith fear man too. So what's in God's will is going to happen. So what's meant to be will be. And you can't put any extra pressure on yourself because of that. And I really kind of said that over and over and over again. And then after a while, typically when you say things over and over again, you start to believe it. So and I just now I don't put as much pressure on it anymore. I call moms, which is in Atlanta. I call dad, which is in New York. Um, and just speak to them and speak to them at least once or twice a week. Make sure they're good. Make sure if they need anything that I'm here. And
Mhm.
they do the same for me because obviously I'm alone and they have people around them. So, but mental health is just so important and it's such an important topic to talk about. And people that come into the industry graduate wise or from college or even removed from college and they want to come into this industry, they have to prioritize that. I mean, it's a must. And sometimes, Julie, I speak to these kids on these platforms. I hate calling them kids because because I mean I'm older than them, but I'm not that much older than them. But they're kids to me, and some of these college graduates. So I speak to them, and they want to do this, they want to do that, they want to be on TV, they want to be this, and I say that's all great. I love that. I love those aspirations, but make sure you prioritize mental health. Don't always feel like you have to be the yes person, right? Yes, 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 yes. Sometimes you have to learn how to say no. And it's tough to do when you start out. It's tough to do because you're in prove it mode. You want to prove yourself. But your mental health in the long run, you don't want that burnout because once you burn out, it's not like one of those things where it's a light switch and you turn off. Once you burn out, it really gets tough for you to come back. Like you don't want to go to your job hating what you do. This is not
Right.
the industry for that. It's not.
No,
And I
I
haven't.
mean,
Go
I
ahead.
felt burnt out when I left the TV newsroom, but I never hated what I did. I always loved it and I still miss it.
Right. Right. Okay. So you
Maybe
experienced the burnout.
yeah, I definitely felt worn out by the time I was leaving the newsroom. So I
Mm,
spent 15 years working in local news. And then when my kids were born, it was time to take a break.
yes, it was. Okay. I feel it. I feel it.
It's so hard. I don't know what I would tell a young person coming out of school right now because I always feel like when you're young, that's the time you chase your dreams.
Sure.
You have And I was the yes person. You want me to stay late, come in early, work 7 days a week. I mean, I definitely worked like 10-day stretches and
Sure.
um,
Hmm.
picked up extra shifts and produced an extra show. Like I was all in on my career
Hmm.
because I could be. I didn't have any other demands on my life. Um, and I don't regret it, not at all. And it
Sure.
was just a different time too.
Hmm.
And I was thriving on the adrenaline and the stress of it all. So I think in many ways you gotta listen to your heart.
Okay.
And if
I
you're
can I
and
get with
your
that.
mind, listen to your body and mind. If your body is telling you, your mind is telling you, like, you need a break, this is too much. Like, I guess you have to just carve out that time for yourself if you're not getting it otherwise.
Sure. Yeah. And that's pretty much the spiel that I say. And mind you, I'm definitely not saying that you shouldn't say yes. You definitely should, but you got to have boundaries. I think
Yep.
whatever boundaries is for whatever person, they differentiate. They differentiate from person to person. With me, I had to be like, okay, after saying yes so many times, I'm like, okay, like there's nobody else that he's going to or he or she's going to, and it's like, oh man, all right, man, I can't be saying yes because then I'll be saying yes all the time. You
Mhm.
definitely want to say more yeses than nos, but you definitely want to also set the boundaries, and that's particularly what I tell people coming into this industry. Love what you do it with a passion, but have boundaries too. And most people, they be like, okay, cool. And I'm like, all right, whatever boundary that is, because your boundaries may be like, okay, I may only say no one time, or I may never ever say no. And I don't really have no boundaries, and I can do whatever I want. Or you may be like, listen, I want to go on vacation this time of the year, this time of the year, and that time of the year. And hey, either y'all good with it or you not. So it just differentiates from person to person, which I love that. Um, I want to I want to ask about work life balance.
Well, I
And
wanted, okay.
go ahead. No, no, no. Go
I
ahead.
wanted
Go
to
ahead.
say something about saying no. I have two thoughts on that.
Talk
So
to
I
me.
have a friend who's an executive coach, and she has given me some pearls of wisdom over the years. And she says, when you say no to one thing, you're saying yes to something else.
Okay.
So
I love
that's
it.
one thing to remember. And then the other thing is, I think you got to set boundaries and say yes to the things that are going to give you more experience that you're looking for, that are going to further your career, that are going to further opportunities for you. So I had a moment in my career where I was a weekend producer, and the news director wanted to make me the associate producer of the 10 o'clock news, but there was
Mm,
also an opening at the weekday 5. And I didn't want to be an associate producer. I was a show producer. I wanted to continue on that track. And I
mhm.
had to say no. I practiced I wrote it down. I knew exactly what I was going to say. And I went into his office and I just said, I appreciate the opportunity, but I'm a
Yep.
show producer. And if I go down the path of associate producer and you leave, you news director at the time, the next person who comes in is going to see me as an associate producer. They're not going to see me as a show producer.
Right.
That's what I am. And I'm ready to produce the weekday 5 o'clock news. And then I stopped talking and he gave me the 5 o'clock news. So I set my
I love
boundary and it worked.
you. And
So
that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And a lot of people that come into the industry, they just don't know how to do that. I don't know how long you were in that role to where you felt comfortable enough. Maybe you came into the journalism business. You was like, I'm confident I'm to have these type of conversations when need be, but there's a lot of people that don't feel comfortable doing that.
I mean, I probably had been in the industry for maybe 6, 7 years.
Okay, so
And
yeah,
I
that's why.
had, I mean, I practiced that speech. I wrote that speech.
Yeah.
I stood in front of my mirror in my bathroom and I practiced exactly what I was going to say to my boss.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know,
And see, and now that was a very good decision on your part, and I'm very happy to hear that went the way that it did when you presented that to your boss.
you got to ask for what you want because nobody is going to give it to you. You got to
Absolutely.
say exactly what you want.
1000% agree with that. I want to throw a little bit on the work life balance because I think that uh things do change in your life as you get older. As you said, you started to have children, you became a mom, you became a wife. So priorities get a little different. Obviously, when you're single, like myself, and you're a bachelor, you can kind of do your thing. But how did the work-life balance change when things started to change in your life?
I mean, I think things changed dramatically when my kids were born.
Sure.
And I'd been show producing. I was an executive producer. I'd been in local news for 15 years. I was getting kind of burnt out. And I ended up having two kids really close together.
Mhm.
So, which is a whole different story, maybe for a
Sure.
different podcast.
Sure. Sure. Mhm.
Um, and my husband was traveling a lot at the time, and it just was like very clear that I needed to stay home with my kids.
I love
And
it.
I'm really glad that I did. It was definitely, there were days where the day Rod Blagojevich was arrested, the governor of Illinois, I couldn't like turn off the TV and turn off the radio. And I was going to Gymboree to some mom and me class, like mom and Todd class. And I was sitting in my car. I just didn't want to get out of the car. I was listening to the radio and listening to the news reports. So yeah, it was definitely hard to let go of it. But I mean, now my kids are 16 and 17 years old, and I'm really glad that I've been able to be available to them. And I've also been able to get back into the communications news world over the years. Things change so much in the industry, and I've been able to do so much work from home, and social media exploded. And that gave me so many opportunities to create content and get back into it. So at the time, I didn't expect and didn't anticipate a chapter like this. I sort of thought like the story of my life was complete. Like I had my news career, I got married, I had my two kids. What else is there to say? But
Mm.
I have a whole new story to tell, or another chapter to share, which
Absolutely. Yes.
I didn't see. It was very hard to see it at the time.
And eventually I would love to get to that chapter for sure. I would love to learn. I'd love to hear about that. That's for sure. Because you seem like a very fascinating woman. There's no
Oh, you're
question
sweet.
about
Thank you.
it. You're very welcome. I want to do this or that with you. And
Okay.
basically what this is throwing two things out and you choose one or the other. Okay. So it'd be this or that. So here we go. We're going to start off really fun. Popeyes or KFC?
Neither. Brown's chicken from when I was growing up.
Brown's chicken. Wow. I think you're
Do
the
you even know
first
what that
person.
is?
I know. No, absolutely not. But it
Yeah,
sounds good. Let me know. What is it?
that was yeah, that's what I grew up with. Browns.
Brown's chicken. Okay. So
Brown's
so
chicken.
neither one? You don't like Popeyes or KFC?
I don't think I really have eaten either one because it was always Brown's chicken
Oh my goodness, Julie.
with like
We
the
gonna have to,
crinkly fries.
Julie, if I come out there to Illinois, I'm gonna have to bring you a two-piece or something. Well, I mean, just to try it, just to check that off the bucket list. You know what I
Right,
mean?
I got to check it off the bucket list.
You do. Okay, Brown's chicken. I like that.
Brown's
Okay.
chicken.
These next three have to do with artists, who you rather see in concert. Okay.
Okay.
So, would you rather see uh, Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera?
That's a tough one. Christina Aguilera, I think.
Okay.
I
Okay. You
think.
sure? You sure?
No, I'm not sure. I'm definitely not sure. What's the next one? Definitely
Okay.
not sure.
Okay. We'll go 51-49. How about
There
that?
you go.
We'll
That
do that.
sounds good.
Okay. The next one here is going to be, would you rather see Casey Musgraves or Carrie Underwood?
Carrie Underwood.
Carrie Underwood. Okay. All right. I like that. This next one here is going to be some throwback artists, two of my favorites. Would you rather see Boys the Men or New Edition?
New edition, I think. These are tough questions.
Julie, I didn't say they wouldn't be tough. I did. I'm just trying to tell you. You know what I mean? But that's okay. That's all right. New Edition will be my pick too. Very, very like slim though, because
Slim.
Boys and Men was the ish. No doubt about it. Okay, let's go with this. Do you like desserts?
I love desserts. Yes, I have a sweet
Good.
tooth.
So basically, I'm going to throw out four desserts to you. Okay, is the A, B, C, D option. One of these you can never eat again. Okay, you'll have to eliminate one. Here we go. A, cookies. B, pies. C, uh, cakes. D, ice cream. Which one are you eliminating?
This actually is not that hard. Pies are out.
Wow, Julie. Oh man, I would have definitely chose cakes. I would have chose cakes. I
No,
don't know
because
if I can
cakes are a vehicle for frosting.
that's true, but I don't know if I can get rid of pie. I eat apple pie with my ice cream.
Ice cream's good with cookies.
That you're right about that. And thus my favorite ice cream is cookies and cream. So I get that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
There you go. Okay, you like that. Do you eat chips?
Sometimes, but I'm more of a sweet person. I crave more sugar than salt, but yeah, I like chips.
Okay, so here's what I would do. Okay, I'm gonna switch it up because normally I do chips, but I figured I always have a plan B. My plan B is chocolate. Do you like chocolate?
Love chocolate.
Here we go. So I'm gonna throw out four chocolates as far as candy bars. One of these you're gonna have to never eat again. Okay. A is Snickers. B is Kit Kats.
Hmm.
C is Reese's. D is M&M's. Which one are you getting
Snickers.
rid of?
The Snickers is out.
Wow. Okay. Wow. You said that really quick, Julie. I would have
I
chose
don't really
Snickers
like
too.
I don't really like nuts in my dessert. Like I
Me too.
like a
I'm
brownie
the
with
same
nuts,
way.
not a brownie.
I like that. Okay, see, we got some things in common, Julie. I like that. Yeah, I'm not a nutty person either. I like other
I'm a
stuff.
nutty
Okay.
person. I'm just not nutty when it comes to dessert.
Right, right. I know I did say that, right? No, yeah, I don't like nuts in my dessert. That's what I meant.
I don't like nuts in my dessert.
Okay. So this next one is: which sport would you rather play, badminton or bowling?
Oh, badminton.
Oh, were you
Definitely
good?
badminton. No. I mean, I don't know. I haven't played badminton probably since high school.
But you know you're not good in bowling.
I feel like I'd have a better chance. I do better at badminton than bowling.
I can feel that. I can feel that. Okay, okay, I got you. I got to throw that in there. Okay, three more of the this or that. More to the artist who you rather go see in concert.
Mhm.
What would you say is your favorite genre of music?
Um, Rock and roll, like 70s, 80s
Okay,
rock.
I figured you might have said that, Julie, because these next two were rock and rollers that I had. Which group would you rather see in person? Would you rather see the Eagles or Def Leppard?
Oh, the Eagles.
Wow. Okay. All
Wow.
right. Okay. I like that. I would have thought Def Leppard. I really would have thought that. Here we go. All right. Next one is: would you rather see Motley Crue or would you rather see Kiss?
Neither. I guess Motley Crue. Although Kiss could probably be pretty entertaining. Maybe
Okay.
Kiss.
Okay. This is a kind of a bonus question here. Are you an Aerosmith fan?
No, more like Billy Joel, Elton John, Bruce Springsteen, Steve Winwood, more of that.
Okay. Now,
Phil Collins.
now, who don't like the Piano Man? Everybody loves Billy Joel.
Everyone.
No question. But yes, those are the two rock ones. Now, this last one here has to do with cities.
Mhm.
Which city would you rather uh, go and live in? I should say, would you rather live in the Detroit or Chicago?
Oh, Chicago.
Chicago. Okay.
Gotta go with Chicago. It's hometown.
I mean, I get it, but you are in Michigan too now, the Ann Arbor. So I'm saying,
Yeah, no, that's true. And we did go to Detroit a little bit, like for some events and things, but
right.
my heart is in Chicago for sure.
I love it. I love it. Okay. This next question has to do with if you wasn't involved in journalism, what would Julie be doing as a profession and why?
Um, well, years ago, I would say politics, but I wouldn't be running for office. I would be behind the scenes, like, communications or chief of staff or policy advisor.
Mm,
Because I think it goes along with many of the reasons that I'm attracted to journalism, like public service, community, keeping people informed and connected.
sure.
Um, but more recently, I feel like maybe I miss my calling in mental health, because I feel like I've learned so much about it, and it's so much of it just makes sense to me when my kids were younger and I was struggling and trying to figure out what was the right thing to do, when I was learning more what the mental health professionals recommended, I was like, oh, of course, yes, this makes sense. And now I'm able to share that with other people. And I feel like I've been able to help some people out. And, I'm not an expert, but I've learned a lot.
I love that. Okay. We need more mental health advocates, that's for sure.
We need
So
so
that
many
we
more mental
definitely,
health professionals. There's such a shortage.
yes, no question about that. Okay. I like to ask that question because people normally be in their field. And I love to ask, what would you be doing if it wasn't this? I know for me, it would probably be theater for me.
Yeah.
Because I do love the stage. I do love getting lost in a character that's not Chris. I can act like somebody else, be somebody else. That's pretty dope for me, for sure. I'm me every day. So to act like somebody else is pretty cool. Um, Advice, Julie. What advice has someone gave you that you've held on to? And what's some advice that you gave someone else that you thought was like top notch advice that pretty good?
I think the advice of you have to go after what you want, and you have to tell people what you want, because no one is going to read your mind. If there's a job you want, if there's a role in the newsroom that you want, you have to ask for it.
Hmm.
Um, and I would say the best advice I got, hmm, that I had a professor once, I remember this from grad school, and he used to tell us, better to turn in shit than have no shit to turn in. So like you got to meet your deadline. I know it sounds really funny, but when we were it was like a reporting class, and he was
Sure.
talking about deadlines, and we were talking, it was a broadcast journalism class, and if you don't meet your deadline, then there's a black hole on the air.
Yep.
So you got to turn it in. You got to meet your deadline.
Yeah.
Not
I
be the
learned that.
best thing that you ever created, but you got to get
Mhm.
it done.
You're right. And your professor's right. I laugh because my professor back in Kennesaw State when I was in Georgia, we had a news reporting class and I did a story and I was like, man, I had a source that canceled on me like last minute and we needed to get this information in. So I had called the professor and it was like an hour before deadline of getting this in. I said, Professor, the source canceled last minute. And he was like, so? I was like, well, I can't, I don't have any information. Like, I'm trying to get the information from the source. And he was like, well, turn it in. I mean, these things happen in the real world, son. And he hung up the phone.
So what did you
And I was,
do?
well, shit, I turned it in. I mean, I did what he had. I had to get a grade. I had to do
Right, you
something,
got to
but
turn it in.
I got to turn it in. But at that point, it made me realize, like, wow, this is okay. Like these things can really happen. Like you can have everything set up and everything can go like A, B, C, D, and then somebody just throws a monkey wrench into your shit, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, what do I do? So it made me think now, like, okay, I gotta have a plan A, B, C, just in case things don't go right. Because in this journalism field, nine times out, well, I wouldn't even say nine, but five times out of 10, at least half the time, things are going to change. Sources are going to change. Things are going to change. Breaking news could happen. It changes so much. So it just
You got
made
to be
me
ready for whatever
gotta
they
be
threw.
gotta be ready, and that's what it taught me back in college because I was like I had everything set up and everything was good, but then all of a sudden the source canceled. They didn't want to talk anymore, or they didn't want to do this or whatever reason. And he was like, "So be it." I mean, the deadline's not going to change. I'm not going to move your deadline. Everybody else got stuff they got to turn in too. So it just made me think about that. So I
Yeah.
like that quote. I do.
I know it
Um,
was such a good line.
It was. It definitely is. And have you? Let me ask you this: have you kept in touch with that professor, or no?
I think he passed.
Oh, God rest his soul. Then God rest
Right.
his soul. Absolutely. Okay. All right. All right. What is something that people should know about you, or something that you want to tell people as we near the end of this podcast episode, which has been awesome, that you want them to know about you that they don't know?
Um, that I'm not as confident maybe as I seem.
Wow. Okay.
Even
You,
after all these years, I still have a lot of doubts and yeah.
wow. Well, I listen. Your confidence is definitely showing on this podcast, and maybe that's just a testament of you're comfortable, because I like to make people comfortable on my podcast episodes. I love to talk to them about who they are, what they are, how they represent. Love to hear about how they think, how they move, because it inspires me. I also may take something from the podcast guest and implement it in my own life. But there's also uh, things of when I do post this video on my site, people may want to come to you and ask you questions that I did not ask. People may want to have personal conversations with you, other women or other men. They may want to have personal conversations with you that we didn't have on this one. So this is why I do this platform. And you've been terrific. You've been amazing.
Well, thanks for inviting me on. This has been a lot of fun.
It has. It really has. And listen, I definitely would love to have you back on at some point, because I definitely want to hear that next chapter story. Because like I said, to me, I think that would be fascinating to hear. And talking to you has been absolutely great, as I always do. With every episode that I have, I ask, is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
Um, I guess I would like to add that I hope that the people find that the mid is a place where they look forward to getting their news and their information. And I would like to add that if there are people out there that are interested in getting involved in the mid at some point when there's funding, if there are reporters out there that are interested in reporting for the mid, they live in the mid, they should reach out to me.
I love that, and we will. You and I will definitely keep in touch on that as well, because
Yeah, I
maybe
mean, I'm not asking people to work for free, but at some point I hope that I have funding and I'd love to have people in place in different markets that I
sure.
can call on when
Now,
the time is.
where can they go see this content at? Because you said there's content already, so they can get an idea of
Content
what you.
already. So the easiest thing is I would just say go to the website, it's themid.org, and then from there you can link to all of our social media platforms.
Okay, that sounds good.
That's the
Well,
easiest, themid.org. And I know it's .org, but we're not a 501c3. We're not a nonprofit. I mean, right now we are a no profit.
I was just about to say that. I was like, no, nonprofit. Well, technically, you are a nonprofit because there's no profit. So,
There's no profit.
right. So I get that. No, I just wanted to get that information out so that people can take a look and see the kind of content that you do, so they get an idea of what you're looking for, or you know what I mean. So, um, but once again, Julie, thank you. We will definitely keep in touch. This has been amazing. I want you to enjoy your Thursday and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And did you finish up your program at school or what happened?
I did. I did. I mean, the semester's done. So
Congratulations.
now we just wait a month, and then we're gonna head back to school in the summertime. My graduation of my master's degree won't happen until May of 25. So
Okay.
so yeah, once I get that, then uh we really gonna turn up.
All right.
For
Well,
lack of a
congrats on
better term.
finishing your semester.
Thank you so much, Julie. And you take care, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.